everyone, Krista Moser here. Today I get to show you my latest pattern. This is Flutterby Frolic. It's constructed with 4 main blocks, so we have the flower blocks. There's the butterfly block. We've got a leaf unit here, and then of course the background units. So I thought I would show you how to do the flower block because it's very fun to do and it's got kind of a clever little technique to finish it. I think you'll like that. And I've got my strips all cut out here. Now I chose kind of a sweet palette of fabric that I shaded as it goes around. So I don't know if you can see this whole thing, but the whole quilt shades in color. So the flowers get darker as they go to the bottom, and then they get lighter and more to the yellow scale as they go out the other side. So I'm going to use one of the pink ones to show you. Every flower has 2 shades. So there's 6 petals, 3 of each. So what we've got here are my 2 shades for one of these flowers. My center is a solid pink, so I've got that here, and then of course my background is this very fun spring green. So starting with the center cut, here I've got my strip. Now we're going to use the large ruler for this one. All the cuts can be done with the large ruler. There's quite a few of these cuts that can be done with the small ruler or the mini ruler, but not all of them. So we're going to use the large ruler for everything, just because you can do it all with that one. So what we've got here on the large ruler is a 4.5 inch white dashed hexagon line. This is not one that I use in a whole lot of things, but I'd like to show you how to use it for this one. So here we've got the 4.5 inch hexagon line right through the middle here, and I'm just going to center that on my strip because what I'm going to cut is of course a 4.5 inch hexagon. So I've come into this strip so that the end of the hexagon line clears the selvage edge here. I'm going to trim off the right side just like this, pull the rest of the strip away. Then I'll just turn this piece around, and now that fresh cut fits right into the white dashed hexagon line. So now I can trim the other 2 sides here. There it is, 4.5 inch hexagon. So there's 6 pink centers and 6 yellow centers in these flowers. So to continue on, I would just move down the strip, trim, turn that piece around, and trim the other side again. You get that idea pretty well. Okay, so now for the petals. Like I said, I've got these two strips that are kind of sweet pinks. And I'm just going to go ahead and layer them up one at a time. Pretty side up, so opening the strip to a single layer, or these strips are cut, only so long anyway. And then I'm going to come off the end of the strip here with the ruler, using my diamond lines. The reason for this is I just have to take the end of the strip from a squared off end to an angled cut. So that's all I'm doing here with this first cut, is I'm just coming into the strip, I'm going to cut it off and then move my way down the strip, getting 4.5 inch diamonds. So there we go, trimmed the end off. Now, pick up the ruler, slide it on in, and you don't have to turn it or anything. All I'm doing is picking up and moving it into now the 4.5 inch diamond lines. So coming down from the tip of the ruler, you've got these black solid lines. That's what we're going to use to cut. And I'm going to go ahead and take this little tip off right while I'm here. So we need 3 sets like this for one flower. Take the little tip off. And one more. Okay. Now, these are all 2 layers, so what I'm going to do is turn these around and just stack them up. You want to stack them pretty precisely. You can cut them one at a time. That'd be fine too. But just to save on a little time, I'll stack them up. I've got a nice sharp blade in my cutter. Alright, so back to the hexagon line. I've got my diamond here. I've got the flattened tip that I just took off down here at the bottom left. And now I'm going to take the ruler and I'm going to lay it over the top of this cut. That 4.5 inch hexagon line, I'm using it again. So it comes across the top here, down the left side, across the bottom here, and then the edge of the ruler is up this right side. And now all I'm trimming is the top right edge to create kind of a jewel shape. So that gets me the petals. we need some background now. So here I've got my spring green background. This strip is just left folded, salvage to salvage, 2 layers, that's fine. Now I'm going to cut some 2.5 inch triangles. So the whole strip is 2.5 inches wide. I'm using my 2.5 inch triangle line here. I'm going to trim on both sides of the ruler and then turn the ruler 180 degrees, so a complete flip to get my next cut. Turn the ruler. 2.5 inch triangle line now goes across the top and the flat tip down here at the bottom. We need 1 of these triangles for each of the petals, so I'm just going to cut 3 sets now. There we go. Right. Now, when you're using triangles like this, it's really helpful to have the other tips lopped off. I am a big fan of taking those tips off because it just makes piecing so much more accurate and foolproof. So that's what I'm going to do here. I stacked up my triangles, one on top of each other, and then I'm just turning the flattened tip of the ruler into those pointed triangle tips. So I can just trim them off right where they need to be. So now I have a triangle with 3 flat tips. So the way this flower works, we're going to build petals just like this. So each color gets a triangle. So it basically turns it into a trapezoid. So I'm going to sew this on. And you see where those flat tips really help, because now I have a perfect match-up point. I can see right where my 1/4 inch seam is going to be. So this is great. 1/4 inch seam here, press those seams open. That's going to be really nice because it'll be a very flat piece, just like that. So I've actually done some of that sewing already. I know you're surprised. Let me grab those. So here you have all of your petals, and you see how nice and flat that is? Sewn, pressed open, just like this, again and again. 3 in each color. And the way this goes around your flower, just like this. So we've got the 4.5 inch hexagon in the middle, and then these trapezoid petal units surround it. Scoot it up. Just ta-da. So your whole flower alternates petals every other color like this. Now here's the clever trick when it comes to piecing this. We get this sort of spinning or swiveling look around a hexagon. How do you piece it? This is called a partial seam. So not difficult to do. It's actually a great trick because it gives you this complex look, and it's so easy. The first seam that you're going to sew is on the top of the block here. So I'm just going to pull these off so you can get a real clear view. I would take this piece, put it down. I've got my flat tip here to match up. Now the rest of this piece just hangs off, the hexagon. So the hexagon stops here and the piece just keeps going. So what we're going to do here is sew from the end, from that flattened tip, into the hexagon about 2/3 of the way across. So I'm actually going to leave myself a part of that that's unsewn, about 1 inch. So I'm just going to sew from here into there, do a little back stitch. That will help. Press that seam open. And then I sew on the next one. So this is piece 1, and it's been sewn on partially. So I'll just scoot this up. And then piece 2, it's a whole seam. So no more partial seams, it's just that first one. So the whole seam, and then the whole seam. Here's piece 4, the whole seam, and then piece 5, whole seam. Now piece 6 is a whole seam, and then to finish off seam 1, you've got piece 6 here, and now we're going to come in and finish off seam 1. So I've actually got one to show you that is at that stage. Let me grab it. Here is what it will look like when you've got the last seam to do. So you've done all your whole seams. Now we're coming back to seam 1, and you see how it is? So this was the last one I sewed, pressed it open. It's very flat, works out really well. So pressed it open, and now I come in and I can finish seam 1. So I'm going to tip this all back. I've got my flat tip out here to match up. Those have been helping all the way around. So I'm going to start here where I had stopped and back stitched, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish that seam all the way out the end. Press that final seam open, and then you'll have a completed flower block. Isn't that fun? It's so easy to do, and it will make everything look so much more complicated than it is. So all of these blocks finish as large hexagons. Of course, we've got 12 flowers for this whole wreath, and there's 2 butterflies. So here's the butterfly block. You can kind of see how cute it is. You'll finish as large hexagons, and then, of course, the background finishes as a large hexagon. Now, those were cut from strip sets. So let me quickly show you. You've seen me do this many, many times before, so I won't bore you with the cutting, but this was a strip set before I cut it into large triangles. And so here we end up with triangles of stripes. But the nice thing is, once you've cut them, you start to put these together and it creates a hexagon. This hexagon will have a dark outer edge. It's opposite, so the bottom cuts from those strip sets will have a light outer edge. That's really fun. So working together to build your background from just strip sets. And then of course you've got the leaf blocks. So that's the 4th and final block. So we have flower blocks, we have butterfly blocks, and then we have leaf blocks. So these leaf blocks are triangle units. They'll fit in here and there to kind of fill out the wreath, make it so you don't have to do any Y seams. So none of this construction involves any tedious piecing, no Y seams included, and you can turn your leaves any direction to get them to kind of look like they're blooming in a way. Okay, so there is that. So of course here I've got my fabric palette, and before I talk about that, what I should tell you is this pattern here, you see the cover image is the large one, so that's the one behind me. That's the twin size, so that is on the cover. On the back cover we've got a lap size, and then there's also a table runner layout in the last couple of pages, so I've got those to show you here. Here is the table runner. It's 2 butterflies and a flower, so it's very, very sweet, like that. And then the lap size one is, or wall hanging even, is 6 flowers and a butterfly. So the one behind me is 12 flowers and 2 butterflies, and then this one is 6 flowers surrounding a hexagon center and 1 butterfly. Using the same fabric, just different background. So that's kind of cool. You can see how wildly different it would be. Okay, so of course I did fabric bundles because I loved these fabrics, and working with something that got you these shades and the flowers to kind of create this ombre effect, I thought you would really like it too. So I went ahead and put together some kits. So you see, the kit includes the pattern, but I will put a link for just the pattern if you want to work with your own color scheme. But here you see what we've got here. The 2 background shades, and then all of the colors that I used for my flowers. So the sweet pinks working their way into yellows and oranges, more of the pinks, and then the reds. And there are 13 different fabrics in all, and so they shade all the way across. And that's what we've got here on the cover. So if you like those colors, that's what you'll want. And then of course we've got the butterfly fabrics, the leaf fabrics, and the centers of the flowers. So you've got everything you need to do the whole quilt with this one. Now this kit is just for the large size. So the lap size and the table runner size, you could of course do them with the kit. You would have a lot left over. You might even be able to get 2 out of the lap size, and then a table runner maybe 2. So that would be kind of fun to do. And I will put links to everything for the kit and the pattern itself in the description box below this video. So if you like this, that's where you'll go to see it. And I hope you found something inspiring here. Thanks for watching.